UFC 295 just wrapped up and amazing card. Performed way better than anybody expected. So many knockouts on the main card. I would have to give it overall an 8 out of 10. Very good card. We have 2 new champions. The undisputed light heavyweight champion now is Alex Pereira, who made history. The new interim heavyweight champion is Tom Aspinall. Men of culture. It was not a good night for us. Mackenzie Dern got annihilated. And then Tabatha Ricci, one of our community, almost gave her a win there. 30-27, I do agree. It's very understandable. I thought I would actually have given that 30-26 if I were a judge. And let's start with that main event. Alex Pereira defeats Jiri Prochazka by a second round TKO. Jiri looks very difficult to fight. He does so many weird things that even caught Pereira, as guys experienced as he is, off guard many times throughout. Had good pressure against Pereira, got a takedown against him. Their face-offs were probably the best I've ever seen in the UFC. Just pure intensity between them two. I would love to see him fight again in the future. I'm a huge fan of both guys. I felt really bad for Jiri. He looked very disappointed in himself. I mean, he did throw that overhand with no setup. It was very strange to see him throw that because he usually sets up off of feints or tricks the opponent with footwork, faking takedowns, do a whole bunch of stuff. But thereafter he landed big on Pereira with the right straight, he goes and throws a naked overhand, and Pereira's gonna see that a mile away, man. And the amount of power he has in that left hook is absurd. How does he lift his opponent off the ground like that with a left hook? And it wasn't even the most powerful left hook we've seen him throw. His leg kicks were very powerful in the fight. There were some fans who were questioning if he's better at light heavyweight, if he's good enough there. The guy's amazing in either weight class, middleweight or light heavyweight, but I think in the light heavyweight division, he's able to take punches better. His cardio is probably going to be better. I mean, he took some big shots from Jiri Prochazka and never really looked too rocked. There was one moment where it did look like he got stunned a little bit, but nah, Pereira's very good in the light heavyweight division. He's the champion right now. And I'd love to see him fight Jamall Hill when he comes back. I'd love to see him fight Uncle Liev and all these other light heavyweights, because Pereira and Jiri Prochazka, even though they just fought for the belt, they're quite new to the UFC's light heavyweight division. They haven't really fought that much there. That was Jiri's 4th fight there, and that was Pereira's 2nd. And I do think after that, Pereira is at least top 5 greatest combat sports athletes of all time. And isn't it funny, the further time goes, the more ridiculous the Adesanya comment about Pereira just being some guy at a bar, reminiscing that he beat Adesanya back in the day. Look what the guy has accomplished in such a short amount of time. Not even Adesanya was able to accomplish what this guy did. I think if Jamall Hill comes back in time, he should fight Pereira next. If not, I think he should fight Ricci if Ricci beats Jan Blachowicz. If Jan beats Ricci, there's no way you do a rematch between Pereira and Jan, right? I mean, it was a close fight, so maybe it can make some sense. I would say wait for the winner if Uncle Liev fights Johnny Walker again. The winner of that should get a title shot if Jan beats Ricci. So there's a lot of moving parts in the light heavyweight division right now. And as for Jiri Prochazka, I think he should fight Nikita Krylov, or maybe the loser of one of these upcoming fights. Then we go to the co-main event. Tom Aspinall sends Sergei Pavlovich to the mat, knocks him out with his signature 1-2. He is so fast for the heavyweight division. I don't think there's anybody ready for that speed besides maybe Ciryl Gane, because he's incredibly quick as well. They're both so fast for the heavyweight division. Their footwork, their hand speed, their kicks, everything, man. And Tom Aspinall's kicks are not talked about enough. He was landing pretty big leg kicks on Sergei Pavlovich and overload that nervous system with constant feints, constantly moving around all over the place, throwing the leg kicks, throwing the jab, getting out, and even taking one of Sergei's punches, who's put down opponents with jabs and even grazing shots. Aspinall's chin is pretty good, just he's gotta keep that chin low, man. That can always be an issue for him. His hands are up, but his chin sometimes comes above his hands, which is concerning. And it's crazy because he didn't even grapple Sergei. Everybody thought if he was going to beat Sergei, it would be through his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Not too many people thought that he would outstrike Sergei Pavlovich. But there he is, the new interim heavyweight champion, England's 3rd champion, and hopefully he goes and fights Jon Jones, because that's the best fight in the heavyweight division right now. I like him more than Stipe because Tom's in his prime. He's a big, fast, well-rounded heavyweight who moves unlike most. I mean, Ciryl Gane's the only guy that moves like him. But the thing is, Ciryl Gane has no grappling, so Jon Jones had an easy path to victory there. Against Tom Aspinall, I don't think it's the same thing. So that should be his next fight, Jon Jones. If he doesn't fight Jones, then it should be Ciryl Gane. And as for Sergei Pavlovich, he's going to take time off from that knockout loss, but when he does come back, I'd like to see him fight Alexander Volkov or Jailton Almeida. Then Jessica Andrade finishing Mackenzie Dern. Trying to trade punches with Jessica Andrade is crazy. That's the way you lose to her at this point of her career. The last thing you want to do against Andrade is trade with her. Mackenzie Dern was like darting in from range with straight rights, chin up in the air and everything. and slinging it with Andrade of all people. The only fighter that can do that with Andrade is Zhang Wei Li and no one else. I know Mackenzie Dern has a lot of confidence in her power. She does hit hard because of how reckless she throws her punches, but that was not the way to fight. I mean, I completely agree with Dean Thomas. He's right. He's 100% correct. Why would she get rid of Jason Perillo? Her boxing looked way better against Angela Hill, and then she gets rid of Jason Perillo? That's a good boxing coach, man. She needed him for this fight. Evidently, that has to go down as probably one of the worst fight IQ moments. That was crazy, man. Andrade just ranked number 5. She just beat number 7. So perhaps you give her... I mean, she's fought almost everybody. I guess you give her Verna? And as for Mackenzie Dern, you can give her Tabatha Ricci. The jiggle physics on that fight is insane. Benoit Saint Denis sent Matt Frevola's head right into the crowd. He charged up that head kick like it was a video game. I've never seen an opponent walk away like that while showing the head kick opening the whole time. The kick was very telegraphed. Super powerful, but also very telegraphed. And Matt Frevola just ate it. He ate all of it. And in fact, it didn't even hit him with the shin. It hit him with the foot and put him out. And you might be asking, why did Frevola keep his hands down during that sequence? Why didn't he guard his head up? If you do notice, a little bit earlier in that, about 30 seconds into the fight, Saint Denis kind of hit him to the body with a kick as Frevola was exiting out that same exact direction. So when it happened again, maybe because it did hurt him more than we thought it did. I mean, look at the size of Saint Denis. This guy's massive. You can only imagine the kind of power he's generating in these strikes, and it got the full respect out of Frevola. Frevola didn't even think about defending his head from a kick. His full focus is on defending a body kick. I agree with Joe Rogan. Benoit Saint Denis got so much better out of nowhere. This guy is a problem for the lightweight division. France, you got yourselves a contender in the lightweight division, man. But for sure, be a lot more calculated on pulling those guillotines. That was a bit of a yikers. But you see how he easily reversed Frevola? Like, this guy's so confident, he doesn't even care. He will pull guillotines on you, knowing that he's still gonna get the better of you on the ground. That did not deter him whatsoever. So with him beating the number 14 ranked fighter, I would only imagine now he's top 15. I will put Matt Frevola down at 15, Benoit at 14, and for his next fight, he should fight Jalen Turner. RDA is not a bad one either. What about Diego Lopes proving so many people wrong? He came into the fight as an underdog. A lot of people riding with Sabatini, they thought that Lopes is good, but he just doesn't have what it takes to beat Sabatini. Not only does he beat him, he runs right through him, a complete one-sided fight. No one can underestimate this guy anymore. He is legit. If the performance against Movsar Evloev on short notice for his UFC debut did not tell people how good this guy is, if the Gavin Tucker first round submission didn't tell people how good he is, hopefully now, him knocking Sabatini out cold, who's a very good fighter by the way, it tells you this guy is not only very good, he's already top 15 worthy in my opinion. That should be his next fight. The issue came from Pat Sabatini failing on his takedown attempt, which entirely was not even his fault. So this is how the sequence went down. Diego Lopes changed levels to get a reaction to follow his opponent into an uppercut, which worked almost perfectly. Pat Sabatini ducked as well. Probably thought the punch was going to be an overhand, that's why he ducked low to try to get under a potential overhand. But Diego Lopes anticipated the takedown from Sabatini, who is a grappler by trade, and tried to intercept him with an uppercut. So the game plan was perfect, the tactic was perfect, the timing was perfect, it's just the precision wasn't perfect. He almost lands his wrist on Sabatini, partially with the knuckles as well. The reason why this happened was because Diego Lopes did not arc his uppercut the correct way. His form was a bit off. When Diego Lopes is throwing up the uppercut, his arm is slightly bent inward instead of straight up into the opponent's face. This is going to expose the backside of the fist, and it's a reason why it landed this way. And also, it takes a little bit of the reach, centimeters off of your own punch, which is actually very important for the sequence right here. If he arced this punch straighter and upward more, he would have landed this perfectly on Sabatini, and we might have saw an earlier knockout than we already did, but ultimately he still got the knockout result. So Sabatini got away from danger right there, shoots the double leg. Now you would think Diego Lopes, because he's moving so aggressively forward, you would think that Sabatini's takedown would work here, but with all that momentum and weight, it actually took Sabatini off balance a bit. He is off balance and didn't even reposition himself, and the reason why he couldn't is because Diego Lopes's right leg cuts off on the outside here. And there's a lot of weight on that leg regardless. Heavy hips from Diego Lopes, puts in the right whizzer, and holding on to that left elbow. This is why the takedown ultimately failed. And when Lopes feels like he has good balance here and he could kind of retract a little bit, he's going to create enough space, taking his way his left shoulder from Sabatini's head control and stuff in his left hand on the shoulder. This is going to create constant separation between the two until Sabatini adjusts, which is going to be chained by Lopes. So Lopes starts walking away, takes his hips away, which is going to cause more separation between the two, and now Sabatini's left underhook there is going to be looser, ultimately making it weaker. The further out your grip is from your own body, the weaker it's generally going to be. And Lopes is holding that there with his right overhook, while having also good head control, forehead right into the chin, and because of Sabatini's loose left underhook, Diego Lopes is able to take out his overhook and snatch onto the Thai plum, and lands a crushing knee to the body, as Sabatini is constantly throwing punches at him. And that's where Diego Lopes goes to land an overhand, causing an exit of the clinch. The punch does land, and that's where Sabatini shoots again. He tries to get on the hips, and he delays on the drive. He falls to his knees, giving enough time for Diego Lopes to stuff in both overhooks, as then Sabatini tries to rise up into the clinch. We see a lot of the Dagestani wrestlers shoot this similar way, where they just want to create contact and then they work for a single to try to drive you into the cage, or even sometimes rise into the body lock, just like Sabatini did, and Diego Lopes just manhandles him, throws him right off of his feet, which honestly could have caused some damage to the head there. Getting up intelligently is very crucial. It's super important. We've seen fighters get knocked out for not getting up the right way. Thiago Santos got knocked out by Gegard Mousasi in UFC 200 because he didn't get up the right way. Michael Page got knocked out by Diego Lima because he did not get up the right way. And now Pat Sabatini, trying to roll out of this, gets straight up in front of Diego Lopes, and then before Lopes executes the right overhand, he has nowhere to go. He has to bring that foot backwards, and he's still going to be in position from this lengthy featherweight, and takes an overhand across the head that not only wobbles him, but rocks him completely and gets barraged to the ground. He had no idea what to do from that position, gets put to the ground, and then look how Diego Lopes grips the Dagestani handcuff just in case his opponent pulls through and toughens his way out of it. In case he does get out of that, he's not going to get out of the Dagestani handcuff. He kept position intelligently and not just rushed a reckless finish. Diego Lopes is insane, man. And 100%, if he does not fight for the belt one day, I see him maybe being a top 5 fighter in his career at some point. I like Alex Caceres next for him, or Dan Ige, or even Sadiq Youssef. Any 3 of these matchups is perfect for Diego Lopes. Yo, and shout out to that judge that gave that 30-27 to Tabatha Ricci. Bro was mesmerized the whole time. I can't blame him. Completely understandable. I personally had a 30-26. He's definitely one of the men of culture. Super distracted the whole time, and that dunk was wobbling the whole fight. It was hard to concentrate. No, but for real, Loopy Godinez is a really good fighter. Shows some good boxing, good takedown defense. I never expected her to get hurt like she did, and it happened a couple times. I think in the second round, there was a bit of a head clash, but Tabatha Ricci in the first round even stunned her with the shift left straight. Sometimes it's hard to see an opponent switch stances backwards like that, and when they sit on that power hand, it causes way more damage. But Godinez's right straight was on point the whole fight. Her takedown defense really did impress me. She's shown good takedown defense before, but Tabatha Ricci is pretty good at judo. She doesn't have a good shot though. That was evident in the first round, I believe, where she shot a really good takedown and it actually got deep. Even DC made it seem like he thought she was going to take her to the ground, but she didn't have a good execution of the takedown. She drove it to the fence, and that was it from there. Godinez defended all of them. I could definitely see Godinez going far in the strawweight division, maybe one day fighting for the belt. What about Steve Erceg winning a decision 29-28 against Alessandro Costa? This kid is really good, and it's interesting how he got put on the other side of a fight that he had against David Vorok, where he was the guy coming up on short notice, going up against a ranked contender, and beat that guy. Alessandro Costa has been around for a little bit, right? Longer than a debut. That Erceg came into the fight with Vorok, and that right straight toward the end of the first round was beautiful. That was artistic. Perfect placement, pure form, man. And I know for sure when he put up that underhook to get to his feet when Costa almost secured the takedown, you already knew Dominic Cruz nutted. Steve Erceg is a very, very technical fighter. It's just when things get a little too chaotic, he doesn't deal with it as well as I thought he would. Or maybe he just didn't expect it from Alessandro Costa, because when Alessandro Costa went balls to the wall Brazilian style, just knock him out strategy, he got hit a little too much and even got dropped. Costa had a lot of good moments after that first round, but then he started going for these submissions. I thought the armbar, when he dropped into the armbar, I thought he was going to get it. Erceg's a long guy, And usually with those longer limbs, it's hard to get your arm out of there. But he did great work by Steve Erceg. And people still have to remember, this is his second UFC fight. He's still not experienced in the UFC. He fought a ranked guy for his debut, but this is only his second fight there. And he's young too, so he's going to make mistakes. He's only going to get better too, though. I think he's going to tighten up his defenses, expect more guys to start slinging at his head because it's hard to beat this guy technically from a distance. And what about when he got into full mount on Costa? Was actually very scary for anybody else to fight this guy. How quickly he got that position on Costa. Had to have gotten notice of a lot of the other flyweights. This guy is dangerous, man. Yo, the Aussie's got a really good, I would like to call him a prospect because of how many fights he has, but I guess he's not a prospect. He's a ranked guy already. Well, the Aussies got a very good fighter on their hands right here. This guy is super talented, very strategic, pretty good fight IQ so far, but really has to tighten up on his defenses, man, when things get a little too wild. It's the biggest blemish he's had so far in the UFC, and a guy like Costa is powerful, he's wild, but he should not be able to hit Erceg as many times as he did with those kind of power shots. What about Mateusz Rebecki? Bro, that guy is literally built different. Saying this guy's bulky is an understatement. He's as wide as he is tall, and you saw Roosevelt Roberts having a hard time even with his reach advantage because Rebecki constantly was moving his head, and his head movements were not subtle at the least bit. He was feinting forward and get Roosevelt Roberts to throw the straight right, so he just slips back on it. But then he eventually does go to the traditional overhand to takedown as he's backed his opponent up to the fence, and then Roosevelt Roberts just had no strength for this guy. As one of my friends Keenan says, there's a difference between man strength and boy strength. Rebecki absolutely has man strength. How easy he got Roberts to the ground was just honestly expected. When you look at him, you expect that. Roosevelt Roberts, I believe, got up briefly, but then got taken to the ground again. Difference in strength once more. Very easy for Rebecki. And when Rebecki had Roberts back, he was setting up the armbar, but it looked like Roberts actually believed that he was just getting out of the position, that he was able to rotate out. But little did he know, he fell right into Rebecki's trap. He leaned into the armbar, and that was all she wrote. Just like I was talking about with Erceg, when you got these long arms like that, it's difficult. That's why you have to give a lot more credit to Erceg for getting out of an armbar like that. Look what happened to Roberts. Just beautiful work by Mateusz Rebecki, man. I hold this guy to very high regard right now. Nazim Sadykhov versus Slavaklaus was an interesting fight where Slavaklaus, or Borshchev I'll call him, was getting the better of Nazim. He was definitely getting a lot of good strikes throughout the whole fight, good body shots, and then it all turned around where Nazim catches him with a left hook. Borshchev was honestly looking very, very good on the feet. And then he gets caught by a left hook and then a high kick, and I thought that was going to be it. I am so surprised, even when I rewatch it over and over again, how Borshchev survived. How did he survive that? Eating a left hook like that and then a head kick follow-up with huge ground and pound. I'll never understand it. Some guys are just built different. Now, it's good to see that Borshchev has that in him, but I don't want to see it too often. You know what I'm saying? For his sake, we hope not to see him get hurt like that often. And the fight ultimately did end in a draw. Maybe they can have a rematch with each other. It was a pretty fun fight. Jared Gordon is the man. I have so much respect for this guy, not only as a fighter, but as a person for what he was able to get through. And he completely proved me wrong about this fight. I'm very happy he did as well. It's hard not to root for a guy like Jared Gordon, man. And he comes out there getting the first finish of his UFC career since his debut in 2017. He's never gotten a finish until now. And I honestly think Jared Gordon's better than he's ever been. He knocked out Mark Madsen, not TKO like his debut. He KO'd Mark Madsen in the first round. He hit him with a clean elbow and then a right hand that just crumbled his opponent. And it's in the clinch where Mark Madsen would be more comfortable, but he did have his back up against the fence. There was a lot of pressure on him. Jared Gordon was landing good punches and elbows, and that was all she wrote. That interview he put on after is something everybody has to watch, man. Jared Gordon, I don't care if he wins his next fight, if he loses his next fight, I'm always going to be a fan of this guy. I did miss the John Castaneda and Kang Kyung-ho fight, but I did hear that it wasn't super interesting. I expected a competitive fight. I don't know if it went that way. Joshua Van putting work on Borjas, who also didn't look too bad. I mean, he was ripping some good left hooks to the body. He was moving back the whole time. Didn't really gas out either, even with the amount of body shots Van landed on him. He had some very awkward kind of kicks that I did expect. Good boxing overall. Intelligent pressure. Very aware on where he needs to be to land his shots and where to place his shots as well. Going body head, Borjas is always going to move away after he gets hit like that. And oftentimes you would see Van stump him a little bit with one of those oblique kicks to the knee just to keep him in position. Parrying so many of the jabs as well, returning with leg kicks. I can tell from Borjas, from his fights prior, and the way that he strikes, the way that he moves, Borjas is a good striker. It's just he fought a guy in Joshua Van who could be top 10 very, very soon. That flyweight division is looking very good right now, man. Very good prospects rising up. And it's interesting, for how long I've been watching this division, since its conception, people always thought the flyweight division was like the weakest of the UFC. And looking where it's going now, it's so good and it's only getting better. Jamall Emmers destroying Denis Buzukja, as I did expect. It's hard to ever pick against an Albanian for me. I try to keep bias out as much as I can. I have to go with the guy I think is going to win. Jamall Emmers, I believe he was going to run right through Buzukja. He ran right through him with a 49-second knockout. Jamall Emmers had slick head movement, pulling away from a lot of Buzukja's punches. And then the knockout was nearly identical to the way Gokhan Saki got knocked out by Khalil Roundtree Jr., throwing a naked outside leg kick, only to get countered by the opponent's right hand. Floored Buzukja, that was it. But Jamall Emmers for sure make weight. This isn't the first time this guy missed weight either. He missed weight outside the UFC and he's had a bunch of catchweight fights at 150, I believe. So he's only getting older. He's got to make the weight, man. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to give this a like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next video, which is probably going to be the podcast.